Welcome to Whiskey 73. This is a privately owned public airstrip outside of Fairfield, Pennsylvania, and it is home, most importantly, to the Mid-Atlantic Soaring Association, one of the largest glider clubs on the East Coast, and it is a real treasure and a very important asset for us. We are home to a club that has about 100 members, 8 aircraft. We have tow planes, gliders ranging from 2-seat instructional trainers to high-performance cross-country aircraft. And we have everything between 13, 14-year-old students that are just getting started all the way up to people that are flying into their 80s and members that are even in their 90s. The club's been around a long time, and it's well known, not just on the East Coast, but across the country for being sort of a hub and a center of gravity for glider instruction and being home to some of the best glider pilots in the country. In this club, we have a lot of pilots that flew for the military and a lot that fly for the airline. And all of them still far prefer to fly these gliders because in some ways it's the purest form of aviation because you don't have an engine. You're fully reliant on updrafts, thermals, ridge lift, and you're very much in touch with the conditions, the atmosphere. It's as close to being a bird as you can get, and it's pretty exhilarating. It's not uncommon in cross-country soaring where you end up landing sometimes in a farmer's field. The first thing you do is become friends with the farmer because you just landed in their field and you're going to want to be friends with them. Eventually they'll say, well, where did you come from? And we'll say, well, I launched out of Fairfield, Pennsylvania. And they'll kind of look at you and say, well, wait a second. That's 80 miles away. How did you get here with that? It doesn't have an engine, and then you have to explain, well, there's these things called thermals and ridge lift, and we use a combination of those things, and we don't need an engine. We can fly hundreds of miles with no engine, just using the solar power of thermals and so forth to get cross-country. And then when they look inside the cockpit, we can start to explain to them how we can actually do that, because we have very sensitive instruments that tell us when we're in an updraft, tell us if we're going up or down, and that is what makes it possible. On most days when you see a lot of white puffy clouds in the sky, that's because there's thermals out there, and those clouds are made by those thermals. But that's not every day, and sometimes you have days where there's no clouds at the tops of the thermals. We call those blue thermals or blue days. And so you just sort of have to wander around looking for the thermals, hoping you're going to bump into one. And you can make informed guesses as to where they're going to be. But some days they're more elusive than others. And on those days where it feels like all you're finding is the air that's going down, you're going to end up in a farmer's field. There are other days where the thermals let you down because they're just too rowdy. And that can be very difficult to fly in. And it can throw the gliders around. And you can literally be fighting with the thermal to keep the glider under control. And that can get a little unsettling, particularly if you're doing it close to the ground, above a ridge and so forth. The sky we look at most days is anything but sort of static and stable. There is air going up, air going down, and every which way. And we feel all of those bumps. But at the end of the day, when we're up there flying our gliders, we're very much sort of by ourselves. We're very much present with what we're doing. You're not worried about things back at work and so forth. You're really in the moment, present with what you're doing and everything it requires. And if you're up there for 6, 7, 8 hours on a given day, which is certainly possible when the days are good, that means you get 6, 7, 8 hours of essentially meditative therapy, of just being sort of one with the glider, being present with what you're doing, and that's a very sort of powerful and important experience. You not only share that passion for what you're doing, which is very sort of palpable and real and meaningful, you're also among a great group of diverse people. It's amazing. What brings us together is a love of flying, but it brings people together from all walks of life. And the people in these glider and soaring communities have some of the most amazing life stories. It's an unbelievable pleasure and treat and privilege to be around them, get to know them, and spend time with them. And that, more than anything, I think is what people do. If you're someone in your early teens, early years, and you've always had an interest in flying, always had an interest in aviation, gliding is a great place to start. if for no other reason, it's the most accessible form of flying. And it's an important gateway to the rest of aviation, because if you can bring a glider back to Earth with no engine when you don't get a chance for a second approach, there's no going around. You have to make that approach work. If you can pull that off, then learning to fly with an engine it's smooth sailing and sort of easy going from there. So it's a great place to start. So I would encourage anyone with those types of interests to come out to a glider club like MASA, talk to the instructors, and get going at that point, because it's a great way to get started, and it's a great hobby to have.